original schedule. So the next steps are we are working with the city manager of St. Pete Beach to schedule a workshop with the council. Then we would bring this agreement to the St. Pete Beach Council October 27th, and then back to you all for approval on October 28th. And once again, this will allow us to stay on schedule and prevent any kind of delay. And not meeting that next summer timeline could cause a year or more delay in implementation of the project. So that's really all we have today. The agreement, I believe, is in the packets. So happy to take any questions, comments. Yes.
My major question, are they going to become a member of PSTA? Are they going to start paying the same ad valorem taxes that I pay on my home and business and like the rest of Pinellas County?
Well, the approach, that is certainly an option, that they could hold a referendum and become a member jurisdiction. But our approach right now is to bring them this agreement, similar to what we don't really want to risk them having a referendum and then it failing, because this is the best corridor for PSTA in the system. So we have this agreement we're drafting.
So Madeira Beach is not an option?
I mean, it's an option, but it's not the best corridor for the system, for the PSTA system, and for our first premium transit line, which we really want to be a very successful service. So.
Can you go back to the routing map?
Sure.
And in the agreement, section 6B, where it identifies the city shall pay $1 million less the funding received under the beach trolley agreement, that's what they're agreeing to pay.
Right. The annual operating cost for the BRT is projected to be about $500,000. So they would pay a total of $1 million annually. So that would be the $500,000 that they pay now for the trolley services and am I saying that right? Yeah, $500,000 for the BRT service.
So they're paying $500,000 now. They basically would add another $500,000 in exchange for the BRT coming to their community.
And then they'd also pay
Plus the capital of building the stations.
The 2 stations. Is it 2 stations?
Well, it's like 2 station areas, so it'd really be like 4 stops.
One on
those
each
are
side.
the circles? Those are the circles,
those
not the
are,
squares?
yes, the circles, the squares are just key points of interest.
And this says less the funding received under the beach trolley agreement. So you're saying $1 million less the beach trolley money?
Yeah, so essentially 1 million minus the whatever. I think that language probably needs to be revised.
Yeah, we're still
I
working.
mean, they have to
on
pay
that.
the full cost of the BRT and the full cost of the beach trolley agreement.
Okay, but this says $1 million less the funding received under the beach trolley agreement.
Yeah, I actually have a call with Alan Zennett later today we're still working on the exact language. But as Brad said, the goal is to have them pay the full cost of any services in their jurisdiction.
My final comment, I won't get to vote on this, right? This doesn't come to us in September.
Correct.
The full board. But I guess part of the issue is that St. Pete Beach is transitioning. They will have a new mayor next March, I believe. Did have a chance to talk with Ward Fizzolowski, who's one of the council members. But in my view, the best of all worlds would be if they became a full partner with PSTA. And I know a referendum is not going to work because those folks aren't paying anything now. And what do you tell the residents that they get in exchange for 0.75 mils? But if they were a part of it, they'd be paying something closer to 1.8 million.
Right.
So in my view, they need to get closer to the 1.8 than the 1, and then become a full partner, get additional stops if they need it. Just become a full partner. If they're going to get the first premium transit that we're putting in this county, they got to be a full partner. So that's my piece. I won't get to say it when we vote on it. But,
So
Mr. Scott? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
You go ahead.
You were right. Go ahead.
All right.
I apologize. I didn't mean to make your...
oh, sure. Go ahead.
I agree completely. It needs to be closer to that 1.8. They've been getting, I won't say a free ride, but they've been getting a
deal.
They've been kind of getting that Uber subsidized ride we were talking about earlier. That's kind of what they've been getting for a really long time. So I think we need to get it up.
Hey.
I just think that the last time I checked that Central Avenue goes out to the beach. goes right over to Treasure Island and north all the way to Dunedin.
No, Central Avenue goes over to here and then it
To the beach,
goes into
and then
Ponce
Gulf
Beach.
Boulevard goes
Yeah.
up to,
Gulf Boulevard goes up.
right?
That map needs to come over and see the rest of the beaches.
Well, I'm just saying that those beaches, other than St. Pete Beach and Treasure Island, are partners of ours and have been supporting us just like the rest of this county.
Bel Air Beach is not.
Bel Air Beach is not.
Okay.
And I've been beating up on, I've got friends over there, I beat up on them all the time. That's a different issue. That's
And we
strictly-
don't, they don't have any stops
They don't
there,
have a
do
stop.
they?
They're
They don't
strictly
have a
residential.
stop
They
in
don't
Bel
want a
Air
stop.
Beach. It's
Yeah.
like, whoosh,
They don't want one, yeah.
Yes, sir.
they don't need it.
I concur totally with the fact that St. Pete Beach should be paying the freight, and I'd like, I'm gonna try to work with Brad to attend that meeting at St. Pete Beach, even though I know that's Mark's territory, but I have an additional issue that puts me somewhat in conflict, and that is I also represent the city of South Pasadena. And South Pasadena loses out if we go to Madeira Beach or Treasure Island. And so I want to do everything possible to make sure St. Pete Beach pays its freight, but this is important to South Pasadena too. And right now they're just getting bus rides, that's all. This way they would have the ability to really have some extraordinarily beneficial high-speed bus rides. So that's important for them too. So I'm a little bit conflicted. I've talked with my people at South Pasadena repeatedly on this, and they would also be willing to attend the St. Pete Beach City Commission meeting to bring up the fact that they've got a horse in this race as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, number one, you can go in and talk to the people in St. Pete Beach and say, we want you to put 0.75 on your the referendum and get people to vote on it, and they will, but I don't think people are gonna vote that they wanna do it. So that's one thing. The second thing is that when we go in with this thing, we're gonna be talking to these people about $500,000 or $600,000 in addition to what they're paying. And what they're looking at right now is a $20 million addition to their budget for their sewer. They've got, I mean, this is not a big deal for them. Their sewer is something that's going to kill them. And well, 17 years ago, when I was the mayor of Reading Beach, we had a sewer tax that came into us, and it was for $1.8 million to repair our sewer. And what we did back then is we talked to, there was a guy in Pinellas County named Pick Talley. I think he's gone, you remember?
He came back for a
Yeah.
minute.
But Pick came to us and said, you know, what we'll do is we'll buy your sewer from you. And we'll do all the repairs, and you'll be done
Yeah, we're
with it.
not doing that.
Are they doing that anymore? No,
I
they-
don't think we're gonna be doing that.
Because I would go to the people and say, hey, you can, perhaps if somebody will buy it, then you've got this thing for taking care of the $200 million, and they'd be a lot more willing to do this thing for $500,000. Is that
I don't think we'll be taking over any sewer systems that need millions and millions of dollars worth of work.
But a lot of collaboration is going to be needed on a number of issues, whether it's sewer, which we're going to look at countywide, or the CRA that they're asking for. There are a lot of interconnected things. So I just think being a full partner helps you out when you have other things you're going to ask for down the line. And in the scheme of things, there are a lot of hotels that support this. They can make up that other $600,000 very easily, because what is it going to bring? Tourists to their beaches. So I don't think it's unachievable.
And, you know, frankly, St. Pete, the city of St. Pete is looking at hundreds of millions of dollars in
Right.
repairs.
Is it hundreds?
And they're paying their fair share, oh, yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
can guarantee it's hundreds of millions.
Because I thought it was 20.
That's
No,
just the
She's talking
one
about the city
year.
of St. Petersburg.
Oh, St. Pete, I'm talking about,
Right, the
I'm
city
talking
of St.
about Indian
Petersburg.
Rocks.
Yeah, but I'm saying that the city of St. Petersburg is already a member and is gonna be paying hundreds of millions of dollars. So we all have our sewer issues. That's a totally separate subject.
Oh, this is,
Just as an aside, Pinellas Park that I represent is not going to see any advantage from BRT that goes to the beaches. But we're paying our ad valorem taxes along with the rest of the cities in this county.
So what's the next step for this?
Well, this presentation was essentially to highlight that if, for all the reasons that you very eloquently stated, that somehow we miss this deadline of October 27th and a PSTA board approval on October 28th, the bus rapid transit project is likely delayed an entire year. I would imagine, I mean, you have a better knowledge, I think, of what's going on there, but we probably would not get another answer until after their mayoral election in March. So we would push it back 6 months, and we would miss the August deadline to the FTA to get this project in the budget, and we'll just delay the implementation of the project. There is, as you say, a lot going on with this project. Maybe not so much with the council members, as you said. They didn't have complete understanding of it, but there was a mayor's council meeting last week that our two fine mayors, Beavis and Bajowski, and Commissioner Long were attended, and they just got into this, and they went into the interim mayor pretty strongly, saying that St. Pete Beach needed to be part of the bigger system and work collaboratively. And then I know right now, I think it is, Mayor Kreisman is meeting with the interim mayor and telling her very sternly, he told me he was going to say, that they needed to do this. And they needed to add a third station that they pay for at the Don Cesar, according to Mayor Kreisman. So I think there's enough. They're well aware that of the intent of or desire of the rest of the community to have them be a full player or a regional player. You know, I think it would be helpful if once we have the dates set that we maybe have other PSTA members attend. I mean, like you said, the hotels are all in favor of them paying out of the city budget for the $500,000. The Tampa Bay Beaches Chamber has unanimously supported this. All these mayors are chiming in on this. You know.
So October 27th is their meeting.
Yeah.
You plan to present there?
Yeah.
And then the next day is
It's
PSTA?
a PSTA meeting at 9. Their meeting, I think it starts at 6 on the 27th. I think the workshop is going to be on the 13th, also at 6, but trying to get that confirmed with the city manager.
Okay. Anything else on this issue? I think you'll have some members at the 27th.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is your meeting concluded, Mr.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we'll call the planning meeting to order. Do we have any public comment? Sure.
The Granicus thing?
Sure.
Loaded up?
Yeah.
I didn't bring my Granicus.
Oh, that's okay.
Thank you.
Heather, you're up first.
I know.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry, it falls off on me. I'm so scared to use this thing now.
Was that nice?
No, it's just a little
regrets. Thank you, Mark.
Never pays for itself. Barely. Once you put on the repair thing, it barely covers. It might cover it so certainly no benefit.
You didn't bring yours, right?
I didn't bring it. I'm sorry, I had back-to-back meetings tonight.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, I know that he hasn't.
Well, she did, so it's not even related.
I mean, literally,
Really helpful to watch it.
This back.
And you can stop it whenever you want.
Swap that. We ready? Okay. Well, I did all that and I forgot my power cords over here.
You got it, Rachel?
Yes.
Thanks for the break. Did you guys already do minutes?
Nope.
Okay.
We just call it to order. Any public comments? We've got a quorum, right, okay. So the first action item is the meeting minutes from August.
Make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from August.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Now move to our information items. First is Forward Pinnell's priorities.
This is just, like Commissioner Welch said, an informational item, to update you, on some action that the MPO took regarding their priorities. As you know, you all met, with them in a workshop format back in January and then again in July, talking about their new approach to prioritizing projects. So they've basically gone from an all roadway priority list to what they're calling a balanced multimodal transportation priority list. And so we see this as a historic event because for the first time, transit is now on the priority list. And we have 3 projects on this list, the Central Avenue Bus Rapid Transit, the Clearwater Beach to TIA Regional Express, and then our transit operational enhancements and associated capital, which is essentially kind of that incremental expansion towards really improving service for our riders. So this is very important to PSTA because as you've heard before, whenever we bring a project forward to get federal or state funding, FDOT always asks, is it on the priority list? And we have not been able to say it is until now. So now the answer is yes. Our projects are on the priority list, and so this will help us as we move forward trying to get that state and federal funding. So we're thankful to the MPO for being a partner with us. And they really have been all these years, but just in this new way of adding us to the list. So
That's real progress.
yeah,
We have the
this is
list.
great news.
I think it's in the Granicus.
Here it is.
There's a detailed, Heather has I nicely summarized it to.
Mark?
Ken, does any of this apply to getting new buses?
The only thing on here, well, I mean, each of these projects has capital included. So, I mean, the Central Avenue BRT obviously has a capital portion, and we would seek a 50% share of federal funding, 25% share of state funding, and 25% share of local for that capital. Same with the Regional Express, we would seek some money for funding the capital. And then in our transit operational enhancements, we did add to that the associated capital, just to make clear that there are both operating costs associated with that and capital costs of adding. We really want to increase our frequencies, we need more buses to do so. So that is in there.
Do we have any idea, you said that there's new people or new opportunities for us to expand or look forward. Do we know how many grants are available to us, or what's going to be involved, and how much money we can make?
Well, there's the federal grants that are out there ongoing, and then there's some special discretionary federal grant programs. From the DOT perspective, as they get dollars, and there are some sources of funding that are maybe highway funding that they can flex over to transit, as they go through their work program process, they look at these priority lists, and depending on the pot of money, we don't know exactly the dollar amounts in each pot, because sometimes money comes from a source that they weren't even expecting. But then they'll go to this list and say, okay, which of these projects can we fund with that pot of money? And it may not be from one down. I mean, that's ideally how it happens, but if they can use some money on, or they can't fund all of Gandy with their pot, but they can fund all of their share of the BOT, then they will move on down and do that. So no, we don't know the exact dollar amounts that might be available, but it does give us that opportunity to be competitive for them.
The FDOT statewide budget is $9 billion. There you have the ability to fund all these projects.
But only a very small part of that funds.
Annual budget.
Really?
Annual budget.
Very, very small. I don't know the percentage.
But it's, well, how do we go after getting these things? Is it just when they open up we go after, or do we have another?
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends. Like when it's a FTA,
Yeah.
they put out their call for applications, and we then review that, and then we apply through the grants.gov system. When it's DOT, we are already talking to DOT about things like the TIA Express and how important that is to us, and looking for creative ways that they can help us fund that service. So we're doing that, and then so we keep it on their minds, and as funding does become available, they do know that this project is out there. Not even just because it's on this list, but because we are actually talking to them too.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Now, most of us have heard this on the blue card issue.
Yeah, I can.
Samantha, did you catch any of that? So you can summarize it.
Yeah, I'll summarize it. So most of you saw the presentation, or came in as I presented the same information to the Finance Committee about the partnership that PSTA entered in with Pinellas County back in January, that led to what our drivers and I think the customers started calling the blue card program, where 3,500 blue cards were passed out to existing riders. I think we covered most of the financial impacts. Just to summarize, where we are today is the county originally proposed a $400,000 adjustment to the agreement, and the agreement itself includes a right-sizing clause at the end of the year, at the end of each year of it, to compare the bus passes and the amount of compensation. So PSTA wants to exercise that, but then on September 8th, Ross and I went to a meeting, and they said that $400,000 offer was off the table, that they could not fund that. And then on September 15th, last week, we got a letter from the county that stated that they expected to continue the $20,000 arrangement at least through the notice clause in the agreement of 90 days. So PSTA is now expecting to lose $140,000. We've already lost $140,000 from this summer into the next couple months. We're expecting that we will continue under the current agreement until the end of the year under the notice clause, but there a number of folks have told me that, and the county staff has said that they want to see what other options might be available to continuing the program. As Commissioner Gerard mentioned earlier, the county staff feels they have told the blue card holders that they will get free transportation for a year. I know they feel that obligation. What the compromise proposal that we've developed is not 100% free transportation for the year, but what we think really meets the mission that they are trying to achieve, which is allowing their customers to get to health appointments, health-related appointments, like getting their prescriptions filled and things like that. 10 days a month, paid for by Pinellas County, and then the option that we believe, based on our history, almost 100% of folks will take advantage of, that they can upgrade if they want to with their own $6 to get the monthly TD pass. So $5 from the county plus $6 from the customer equals $11, which is the monthly pass. We'll see. I have a meeting with the county administrator on Monday, and we will, I'm sure, have follow-on discussions about whether or not this level, or maybe if that's not the right level, we can develop a different program. The key difference will be that this will be a capped program, 3,000 customers as a hard cap. If the county can't do that, but wants to do 2,000 clients or 1,000, whatever, we can devise different programs. But it would be a cap on the number of people. If, as Commissioner Scott said at the last meeting, if the county cannot do that, that's okay for PSTA. We'd still lose $140,000. We're assuming that. But the clients and the nonprofits hopefully can pay the $11 for their pass as many of them were before. So PSTA will be okay either way. But we do want to partner with the county and work with them. This has increased ridership, as I'm about to show you, and that's a good thing for PSTA. So hopefully there's some compromise that can be reached.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? When is your meeting with the administrator?
Monday morning.
Okay.
Monday morning.
I'm encouraged that there is a middle ground there. The 140,000 that we lose is in FY17.
It's really it's in FY16, most of it.
This fiscal year that ends
Yeah.
September 30th.
Yeah. So the capital reserve funds that Debbie showed you will has been reduced by 140K.
Yeah, probably more like 106 for this fiscal year, I think, but around
Oh,
that.
right.
Yeah.
Because that includes October, which is the next fiscal year. So $100,000 hit to the amount we showed you as being in reserves. The $3.3 million. So that was it. Is like $100,000 less than that. That will go toward capital. But it'll be.
All right. Good luck with the administrator.
Thank you.
They obviously have a different perspective on how we got to this point.
Yes, I included some information packet that Heather Sobush put together, sort of a deep dive. If you're really interested in reading some of that, I'm going to share that with Mark and talk through it. I don't think. I think both parties have always been in with the perspective to try to help these folks be able to ride the bus. No question about that. And I think both parties started out sort of on the same page, and then there was a change, and maybe there's a difference of opinion about how that change occurred, whatever. But over the last month, I'm very grateful to the county's work, the staff's help. We've been able to avert this potential secondary crisis of the the state grant revenues going down because these people were not being counted as transportation disadvantaged anymore. And that's been completely averted, in large part thanks to the county staff willing to send out information to their clients and getting all these people to a TD bus pass. So that's been really good too.
Best of luck. Patty?
Well, that brings up my question. Help me out here, Pat, because we've both been in the same profession. How did we not know that there were 10,000 people out there that needed TD passes that we weren't serving? I mean, I opened up Freedom Village for Goodwill Industries. Did they not? Did Goodwill not tell us that they needed 10,000 more passes? What I'm saying is, when we go to Tallahassee and ask for $10 million, which I would love to do, I'm exaggerating, Pat. Do I not have the figures from social service people that will tell me what the need is?
Well, I suspect what has happened, and I think you have charts to show the same, is that those people that were already either buying TD passes or somebody was buying them for them.
Right, like We Care or whomever.
All of a sudden, we're getting a blue pass that was good for a year. Instead of buying a weekly or monthly TD pass, and so the TD pass sales went down and the blue passes went through the roof.
Right. That's exactly right.
And, which is why it was a bad deal to begin with. I mean, it was not designed for everybody that had a U-Pass in their hand to be able to actually use it. I mean, they could use it, but we didn't expect everybody that got one to use one. But by definition, this population is bus users.
And I get that, but what I'm saying is, Brad, since you're telling me that gave us an additional 2,000 people that need bus passes that we didn't know about. So are we not
I think we knew about
reaching?
them all.
We
I think
knew
they were already
okay,
riding the bus.
yes, we knew about them because they were already buying passes. We knew that that the demand existed. What we didn't know was that they were going to be covered, that they were going to receive a blue card. That we thought they were still going to ride the bus buying their $11 pass, and that this program was only for a subset of low-income individuals in the county, about 150. We did not know that it was going to be a much larger group. That's maybe the issue. But we knew about that there are thousands of people in the county. There are still thousands of people that are buying the TD bus pass that are not getting it for free. Maybe they could, but that they, for some reason, don't know about it or they're not. They're still buying the pass. The demand is very, very large.
Okay, well, that's my question. My question is, are we not doing a good job, LCB, the Local Coordinating Board, the Transportation Disadvantaged, are we not doing a good job? I don't go 1 week out of the year that I don't have someone that is in need of transportation that qualifies for the $11 a month program that I don't tell them, trot your little self down to PSTA to the bus
but then
terminal.
what was happening is that somebody else was saying, trot your little self over to the county and sign yourself up with Human Services and get a year-long.
So I'm not getting the word out. Ross, do you know what
Well, no, I think
We're
there
not-
was just there was a change up for everybody there, but all of a sudden, here's these free passes that are good for a year, and I can tell you, every human service agency in the county went, go over there. I'm not gonna buy your TD
I
bus
know,
pass
because it's
this
going
month."
to kill my budget.
I know, they're.
Right, I understand that part, but what I'm trying to get at, Pat, is I don't feel that we're doing a good enough job letting parts of this county know that we have this fabulous program. I'm not trying to blame the county or the social service agencies, because my budget was you know, everything
Well,
to
so are
me.
theirs, yeah. I'm
But
not blaming them either, I'm just saying that's.
What
the
I'm
way of the
saying
world.
is, are we doing a good enough job letting people know you don't have to sit down here in this neighborhood the rest of your life telling everybody you can't go to work and you can't do this and that. You can go. We do have a plan for you. So that's.
Well, I do think we're doing a good job of getting that word out.
Do you?
Yeah, but when another word comes in that there's a free pass over here, you don't have to spend,
Better deal.
you know, there's a better deal over
Yeah.
here, you can get it for a whole year.
Okay.
And not have to sign up every month and, you know.
Russ,
So
did
that's
you
why I
want-
think
I
it's
was going to add,
a good idea.
you know, it's always a challenge. I mean, every CTC in the state can show to you the statistics that are in their Transportation Disadvantage Service Plan, like we can, that show how many thousands of people are in their county that should qualify for TD, and have a much smaller amount of those folks who are actually receiving the services. So there is always an outreach piece. We're always doing outreach. As we speak right now, there are PSTA staff who are over at the Human Services Coalition providing information about TD and our other services. So they can go out and tell their folks. But this is a transient population, as you well know.
I do.
You know, people are coming in, people are coming out, people are working one day and the next month they're out of work and they've lost their car and all of a sudden they have needs. They got to put food in their mouth, they got to find a place to live, and oh yeah, I got to figure out how to get there. So it's always a process, and these nonprofits are always out there in the grassroots feeding into that and pulling those people in and helping them get hooked up. So that's why we work so closely with them, because they're the ones who kind of have their fingers on the pulse of everything happening every minute. But every month we are signing up going through hundreds of applications that we're receiving new, even during this time. So there is outreach to be done, but it is also being done, and we are reaching the communities, I think, too.
Thank you, Ross.
Thank you, Ross. Let us move on to the ridership analysis. There's one other item that I'd like to cover, and I'll leave at quarter after
Okay.
Porter's Hill, Mr. Vice Chair.
Yes, sir.
And we need to elect a new chair as well, so
Okay.
ridership.
Okay. So this is an informational item that is slightly revised, but it's basically a presentation I gave to the Finance Committee, sorry, Mark, a month ago. But Commissioner Gerard and others asked at the board meetings about the ridership trends and the fact that ridership has been dropping this year and will be lower this year, and what's causing that, and what we might be able to do about it. So this presentation covers 4 areas. One shows the national trend in transit ridership, which is down, very comparable to PSTA, and perhaps why that is. Some local things that we have done or that are happening locally that maybe have an effect on the overall national trend. And then, since I'm a positive guy, some silver linings in looking at our ridership. And I didn't even include, well, I think I added a slide, but the silver lining of this Pinellas County Blue Card is ridership is up in the month of August. Because they are all riding. Revenue is not up, unfortunately, for Debbie, but ridership is up. So this slide and the next slide try to demonstrate that our ridership through the month of August is down 10% from last year, which was the highest ridership in the history of Pinellas County was at the high water mark 2015. You can see that these are mostly Florida systems that are down, that they are all down, and then I put the 2 places I went on vacation this summer to show that it's a national trend. San Francisco somehow is up 8%, but they are an outlier. I'm not sure why that is. Quite frankly, I think the fact that ours is down 10 and Hart's is down 6 is maybe largely reflective on the fact that we had such a good year last year. I know, talking to Catherine Egan at Hart, Hart has seen a decline in ridership for the last 2 years. I think I have a chart in here that shows that we started seeing some decline in probably in December of 2014, January of 2015. That's when most of the transit systems across the country started seeing a decline. tied to gas prices and other things. But we benefit in Pinellas County by having a tourist-oriented economy. And so we didn't see the declines a year ago. All through the springtime during spring break, we were kind of buoyed up by a great tourist market in the springtime, like we always are. And so we didn't start seeing the decline for 6 months after the rest of the country saw it. So I think the fact that we're down 10, they're down 6 is probably really more comparable to where we started from. In a week, I'm going to be going to, along with some staff, to our benchmarking group conference, which this year is in Providence, Rhode Island. It rotates through all the different cities, and this is the group of folks that we benchmark against other transit systems, and they are all down. And this, there's been a lot of discussion amongst the benchmarking group. Well, what's the factors in your city, and trying to dive into this even further. The official nationwide explanations, and there's been a number of studies about this, are the two reasons that nationwide transit ridership is down. And it's down very consistently on bus. It's actually up a little bit on rail in the biggest cities, or flat. But it is these two reasons: gas prices and an improved economy. This is the 10-year history of gas prices. And fiscal year 16, the year we're in now, is the lowest for the entire year that gas prices have been in the last 10 years. Even in 15, when gas prices plummeted, they started up high. And this period when they were up around $3.50 a gallon is when PSTA saw very strong growth in ridership. Obviously, as perhaps demonstrated by our ridership, which is largely tourists and people that have little other option because they are low income, an improved economy does lead, as Ross described, more people can maybe access a discounted car or other things. That doesn't necessarily, that probably has a declining effect on our ridership. Locally, we also increase the fares. And I believe now, in hindsight, that perhaps we have somewhat priced ourselves a little bit out of the market at $2.25 for the cash fare. I think that folks are looking at any possible way to get a cheaper way to ride. And we are seeing this year, of all of our types of ridership and the fares that people are buying, the biggest decline is in cash fares. They are not buying in cash nearly as much. I think that's down like 20%. But they are buying passes and other ways, discount, TD, and other things are much higher because they are, maybe as Ross said, lots of people come on, they don't know about the TD or the different deals, but because we're at $2.25 now, there's even more incentive to find out how I can ride the bus for cheaper. You can see that we are we are the highest in the state of Florida. We are, in the benchmarking group, we are the highest of the 17 systems that are bus only. There's, I think, Salt Lake City, which has rail, is at $2.25 as well. Trying to do even a deeper dive into our ridership and what is going on. I'm sort of a geek on this transit ridership forecasting thing. I did my master's thesis in transit ridership forecasting at Syracuse, so this is what I love to do. This thing that Heather told me looks like the Loch Ness Monster is our transportation disadvantaged pass, TD bus pass, percentage of our ridership that is riding on a TD bus pass. You can see that starting in 2014, when we relaxed a lot of the restrictions that have been placed on the TD program, started back when the TD program was run by the MPO, where the MPO for years rationed the number of TD bus passes by policy, rationed the number, and restricted access to the TD Pass. In 2014, we opened that up. We worked with the Homeless Leadership Board and suddenly and made it available to anyone that qualified. There used to be restrictions that it could only be used if you had a job, or and only for a certain number of months. Now there's no, as you know, it's a regular pass available to anyone 150% of poverty or below that does not have a car. And that spiked the percentage of our ridership up to about a quarter of our ridership is transportation disadvantaged. You can see the little head of the Loch Ness Monster just going down this summer because the county blue program, but I think that trend will turn around now that we've gone back to the TV. These lines at the bottom are also subsets of our ridership. The blue line is the single route of the Clearwater Beach Jolly Trolley. And that has hovered around 4% of our ridership. That has dramatically declined. When you'll see the board packet coming out, you'll see that that's down like 30%. I'm going to show you that in a second. That has had huge swings in ridership relative to the Winter of the Dolphin movies. And that is also affecting our ridership this year. And the green line is our UPass ridership, which is mostly until this summer, until this little uptick, which was the blue card, but mostly students at most of the major colleges and universities in Pinellas County are on the UPass program. That's also about 4% of our ridership. So you can see the Jolly Trolley is not really down as a percentage of our overall ridership, and the UPass is growing. The TD percentage is growing. Where we've seen the big decline in ridership is in full fare paying above poverty riders. They are riding less. Maybe they are benefiting from the economy, have better jobs, can get a car. That is who is declining. This is my chart showing the Clearwater Beach Jolly Trolley. That offers service up and along Clearwater Beach. In addition, it offers free rides to and from the Clearwater Marine Aquarium over to the Winter of the Dolphin Experience, which is in downtown Clearwater, back and forth. It's all part of the same museum fee, and they can ride the trolley back and forth over the bridge. You can see when Winter of the Dolphin movie came out, the first one came out and the second one came out, ridership was very, very high, and then it has fallen off somewhat since then in this fiscal year. That alone is a drop of like, when taken over the whole year, that movie makes it look like ridership is dramatically down. The overall trend is actually up a little bit, but for those movies. So just to conclude, some silver linings. Most routes are down, but not all routes are down. We are seeing growth in certain routes. Until just recently, the Route 7, which is in the south side of St. Pete, has been seeing a nice steady upward trend. Just recently, a drop, but that's just in the last couple of months. The Route 11, I'm sorry, that was the Route 11. Route 7 is down here seeing a nice growth. 75, which is on the west side of the county, has been growing. And the 61, which is Indian Rocks to Dunedin, has been growing as well. Our tourist-oriented service...
What's your measure on the left?
That is riders per day.
Per day?
Per day. Our tourist-oriented trolleys are doing just fine. Ridership is not dropping on our tourist-oriented services. This perfect heart rate graph is the Suncoast Beach Trolley that goes up and down Gulf Boulevard through all the beach communities. That ridership is very seasonal. That's what the up and down shows. Every spring break is when it peaks. But you can see it's not really down. It is just humming along right there. The Central Avenue Trolley has been spiked when we made it go all the way from St. Pete to the beach back in 2011, and it is not down. It is very consistent, somewhat seasonal as well. And the Looper and the North Coastal route, which goes up to Tarpon Springs, are not down. What has been down even much more than ridership, as the Finance Committee knows, is fare box revenue. As more people choose to ride, find other ways, cheaper ways to ride, we have seen a substantial drop from a peak of $1.2 million a month in revenue down around $1 million that we're getting now per month. That's what this blue line is. The good news, this is why it's in my silver lining, is we seem like we've hit rock bottom. The last couple of months we've bottomed out, and it doesn't seem to be declining too much anymore. So that's, yeah, it's positive. We are seeing a nice growth, 15% growth in our other ways in which people can ride the bus, and we still make revenue, mainly UPass and Transportation Disadvantage. We're seeing growth in the TD grant because our ridership on TD is growing, and we're seeing growth in UPass revenues. Those people are not paying, but we're still receiving revenue. So that, unfortunately, though, that has not gone up by $200,000 in the same period of time. It's growing, but not by the same rate at which we saw this decline. Another good news piece is that we are seeing additional revenue per customer. So when you take the total revenue that we received divided by the total number of riders, you get the actual revenue per customer that we received. And that, since the fare increase last October, has rebounded, has gone up. Now, I'll be interested in seeing what the effect of this summer. The summer is not included in this, and I fear that our revenue per customer has dropped again because of the Blue Card program, but that's been fixed. But you can see that even though we charge $2.25 to ride the bus, the average amount of money that any customer on the bus is paying is around $1.05. We peaked at about $1.20, and now we're at $1.15. I did add this slide. Just, again, the UPass ridership, which is the way we counted the county Blue Card program, along with all the students riding, City of St. Petersburg, etc., micro school, has been incredibly consistent. If you look at all my other graphs, it's like the flattest thing ever, at right around 50,000 rides a month. And I think, as we've described earlier, we did not know that the county was passing out 3,000 passes right away. When we got to the end of June, we said, "Gosh, UPass doubled. How could UPass double? Did students get out of school and suddenly ride all the time?" No, it has been flat, and then that's how we discovered the Blue Card issue. So Commissioner Gerard made the comment, well, what's the plan? How can we increase ridership? How can we start increasing ridership again? One way of doing that is to increase the frequency of routes and the span of our service. That will increase riders. As we have presented, we believe 350,000 more people will ride. That's even at the lower ridership numbers. If we are able to add service. Increasing frequency on the route adds more riders than span. Everywhere in the world it does. If the bus comes more frequently, more people will ride. If you provide service later at night and on the weekends, at our level, since we provide such little span, especially in a tourist service-oriented economy, we need to offer more span of hours, which we are, especially on the weekends when a lot of people work on the weekends here in Pinellas compared to other markets. That's important, but frequency is really the key in ways we can improve that. Increase UPass with businesses, not nonprofits, but businesses where there's a lot of non-riders and they need a way to ride the bus and make it easier for them, while still hopefully working out an arrangement to keep and for those economically disadvantaged people, a way that they keep riding the bus. Increased premium options that PSTA provides. Bus rapid transit, special event service like the Clearwater Jazz Festival, or maybe to the Rays games. First mile, last mile connections. The Finance Committee had a long discussion about whether we really want to keep investing in these Uber first mile, last mile programs or not. But those have a potential to increase ridership. And then, of course, working closely with the MPO and their planning effort, land use, parking decisions, especially in markets like Clearwater Beach, which that's being debated. In places like that, we can really have an impact. Ridership can go up, and we can be a congestion relief option for places like Clearwater Beach, which are, kind of capped at their market. St. Pete Beach, same thing. They're talking about building a very large parking garage in St. Pete Beach, perhaps, but maybe with the bus rapid transit, they would be able to avoid that. Or make a smaller parking lot if they had more transit. And that concludes my presentation. Are there any questions or comments on our ridership?
No questions. Wish you Godspeed on that.
Okay.
Do we have time to work in that? And we can do it, I guess, the next meeting, or now we need to elect a new chair, and our vice chair has done an extraordinary job. So we're set up for the next meeting.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
think
not on
that's-
the agenda, but is there a motion for chair for the planning committee going forward?
I
I can't
nominate
make
our
it.
vice chair
Mr.
to
Dyton,
graduate.
Second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second. Do you accept the job, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And vice chair. Floor is open for nomination.
Oh, I'll nominate Pat.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I didn't ask you if you did.
Yeah.
All right, congratulations, and we'll be watching you on streaming video. And, y'all will continue the great work. Future meeting subjects, Brad, anything you want to hit there?
If there's any suggestions, glad to take those. I think the October meeting, planning committee will be focused on, and maybe a more detailed discussion after the workshop has occurred down in St. Pete Beach, before that item on the October meeting. PSTA does not have a November meeting typically. We have one meeting in the first week or so of December.
Okay.
So that, the nominating committee for PSTA will be meeting likely in November and make recommendations not only on the 2017 board chair, vice chair leadership, but committee appointments. So whether or not, and then it's up to each committee who they pick as their chair and vice chair. So thank you for volunteering or not volunteering. Right now, your term is 2 meetings, and then we'll see what happens in 2017 when we get a full committee again.
All right. Anything else for the good of the order?
I just wanted to mention one thing, and I think Brad will probably mention it more at the meeting, but in 2014, the LCB visited the issue of stretcher transportation service in Pinellas County. And it had been addressed in previous years. And to make it short and sweet, EMS met with wheelchair transport providers for feedback. Changes were supported by the Medical Control Board. It passed. It finally passed. So when someone is discharged from the hospital, they don't have to go by ambulance. There are wheelchair providers that will be bidding or be available
Great.
to transport people on a stretcher, those people that have to be on a stretcher. And for those people that don't understand why it was so important to the people of Pinellas County is one ride in Sunstar costs $590. Okay? So Medicare, Medicaid picks up some, but not all. And it costs the county to keep those ambulances going and doing. It's not that anything else. However, this is a cheaper way for us to get everybody where they need to be in a very,
Do you have an idea how much they're gonna charge, those kind of companies?
most of them said in the meetings that they could do it for less than $100.
Wow.
And most of them still are hooked up with Medicare, Medicaid services.
You said it took from 2014 until now?
It was before 2014, but in 2014, we really put a press on.
Okay. And so it's official now?
It is, no, here is the language,
I think it's going to the county commission.
and it goes to the county
Okay.
commission
When's it coming to us?
this month, I think.
Okay.
We visited at the local planning board October 11th.
October.
Okay,
So
October.
you'll see it in your, they'll announce the public hearing in September, but the public hearing is scheduled in October.
Okay, great.
Um,
Thank you, Patty.
Signed a letter of support from the from LCB yesterday to give to you. They had asked us for that support letter, signed it, went yesterday.
Great. Thanks for sharing that.
One
Mark?
other thing.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm on the, been on the School Transportation Safety Committee for the last couple of years. And they recently, had just kind of looking around what they've been doing, and they said, we were put together back in, I guess, the 1990s or so, when we were doing this and that. And it turns out everything they're doing is now actually being done by somebody else. And they're saying, we don't really have anything to do anymore, why don't we just disband this committee? And unless somebody who is a member of the committee, the MPO or us or something, thinks that there's a lot of things done, we just like to forget about this committee and go away.
What's the name of it?
It's the School Transportation Safety Committee.
Okay.
This is a subcommittee of the MPO that's been in place for years. I know Commissioner Susan Ladvallow was a big proponent of it back in the day.
And they're saying, we really don't do anything anymore, so
PSTA has a rep on the, which is
yeah.
one.
And so
The
they
work's
said,
being handled elsewhere.
Yeah.
and I'm amazed. I think it's
I
a
know,
great
I heard
idea.
It happens once in a while.
So, Mark, is your understanding that as long as we don't, as long as no party objects, I mean, do we have to make a motion?
No, we don't have to make it up. It's just, if we don't, if we say
Okay.
we're not doing anything, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to run to my next meeting. Is there anything else for the good of the order? We're adjourned, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can give you this.
We will miss you terribly, terribly.
I'll be around.
Promise?
Can't get rid of them that easy.
Thank you, though. That's my-
Yes, we are.
This is where
We are.
y'all are.